Well, welcome everybody to Tarot for Our Times. And tonight I want to look at what is this whole thing with FOTUS and the Muskrats' unholy but necessary relationship. I get really pick up the energy that they don't like each other very much and that there is some jealousy. Now, I was inspired to do this from a YouTube channel I really like called the iHip. I've had it with these two women from Oklahoma who are the two little blue dots in a big red sea. And they're very funny, they're very timely, and they use language that I'm hesitant to use here. Sometimes a little bit of it slips out, but they're very, very good. And today they were talking about that time, and it's on the thumbnail, the time covered with the muskrat sitting at the presidential desk. And then I have the two of them as the Two of Cups, our card for today. I was thinking of the Lovers, but I thought that this was, I feel like they're close. This is the minor arcana of the Lovers, but this has a little bit more of the commonality, which I will get into in a minute. But it's really interesting because they showed a clip of the interview where someone asked him about the muskrat being on the cover of Time, sitting at the presidential desk, and he made a few, oh, Time, oh, I don't know, it was very stupid, but it was a combination of him looking like the deer that got caught in the headlights and the little boy who just had his favorite Christmas present taken away from him, and that he looked pretty whipped in that. And yet they're together, and these two ladies were saying, I wonder what they have on each other. And I think it could really come down to this tit for tat kind of thing, is that they're pretty much stuck together. And I know that from what I've heard, that the muskrat has more than worn out his welcome at Mar-a-Lago, and that there is a jealousy factor because he's getting more attention than the orange toddler. And you kind of wonder why he hasn't been kicked to the curb. Now, the most obvious thing is all the money that the muskrat forked out to buy this election for entertainment purposes only. And there's some obligation, but it's got to go deeper than that, because I think that FOTUS has kicked plenty of people to the curb who have that he owes money to or he owes favors to. So I think this will be kind of one, because it's been pretty grim news. I think for this one, I think we're going to try to just make it into maybe a fun reading. So I'm going to say, I give it about a, well, here we got one tower. I'll give it about a two tower thing that is headed towards three towers. I'm kind of wondering how long can this be sustained before there's the big blowout, which I think it's not a matter of if but when. But there really is something tying those two together. So I want to take well, the cards always surprise me. I do want to take a deep dive into this and just kind of see what's going on here. What is going on here? Okay. So the basic card is the Page of Cups in reverse. Okay. Page of Cups in reverse is basically that this is what they share. We have two very immature man babies here. And I've also come to see that the Page of Cups in reverse is about not only emotional instability and immaturity, but an identity crisis. These guys, they haven't known, they never knew who they were. And so or how they fit into the world. So they've kind of created themselves into something pretty awful, but still created themselves into something. But that's really, I think, from the time they were kids, they had a big identity crisis, and they never outgrew it. So they certainly share that bond, and it's crossed with the energy of, oh, here we go. Here we go. The Three of Pentacles, which is, I'm going to say that that's the Muskrat making the deal, as far as getting involved with this administration and the campaign. So I'm going to say it's probably FOTUS and, one of his henchmen kind of dickering and bargaining and figuring out what's happening. But I believe that the artist, the Muskrat, who's creating a lot of this mess, he is standing on the bench, which says he does have the upper hand and he knows what he's doing, and just to go along with it. So underneath all of this, we have, Six of Cups in reverse, which is, they both had pretty rotten childhoods, but they do like to live in the past and create it into something that it really wasn't. Then we have always looking to expand their riches and expand their power. And looking at the fleet of the boats, the size of the boats tells me they're pretty teeny, which means they're out far in the harbor. And although the Muskrat has a ton of money, it's just not enough. And even with FOTUS, it's just nothing. There's never enough of anything. But the thing is that they do seem elusive, and they may not really be coming in that big. And I'm going to say, when I see this 3, that I think that March is going to be a very important, crucial point in their relationship, and that is something about in 3 months, something could really be hitting the fan too. So these 3s really jump out. And let's see, we have also, there's nothing subtle about either of them. They go just charging along, can't keep their big mouths shut. They just don't think before they talk, which is, to me, everybody's afraid of them taking over the world. But I'm going to say that it's a big recipe for failure, because most dictators in the past have used the element of surprise, and they've been an open book. So opposing this, the opposition card is, here we go, the Sun, the openness. It's and to me, this is speaking of kind of like they're being very open, but it's in a kind of a very childish way. And it's all about maybe being just too open and shining a lot of light on this situation, which is telling me that they can defy all the court orders they want, but something is going to outsmart them. And as I've said, the one thing that the courts can do is they may not have the nerve to jail him, although I'm not so sure of that. But I'm going to say that with his team of little boys, that they could possibly toss them in the can for contempt. And we'll see how loyal he is to them. Okay, so at any rate, in the past, the Nine of Wands. So when they've been wounded, they've been patching themselves up and they go on to fight another day. But I'm telling you, when I see this in any deck, it really tells me that, there's only so many times that you can be wounded that you're going to be able to, you bounce back, but it's a little bit weaker every time. So going back to this Two of Cups, since we're on the subject of that. And in the thumbnail, you have to look a little bit hard in the background to see this, but with this caduceus, the medical symbol is telling me that they do share, for entertainment purposes only, they do share mental and physical illness together. Trump has looked absolutely awful. I mean, it goes beyond the fact that he's lost the ability to blend his makeup, but that only makes it, whatever is wrong with him, worse. There's some there's some dementia or something like that going on with him. As far as the Muskrat goes, that ketamine, I'm going to say, has been playing a number, and he looks pretty awful for a man who's, I think he's not 60, he's in his 50s. He looks pretty awful in that very pasty look that he has, and as I said in a previous reading, that drug really does a number on the heart and the liver. So I'm going to say that he could be almost as physically ill as FOTUS, and that's a really big thing. So they come back, but it's not quite as strong. So, and what else in the past? Okay, and this has been the ability for them to recover from their scandals or whatever. But I also have to say that in this card, the knives never really went in far enough for them to be really, really injured to know what real recovery it is. It tells me close calls, and they've been able to recover from that. So I'm going to ask the cards. I'll do a couple of clarifiers on top of these. Is this something that they're going to be able to keep on doing, or is this going to be how can this just go on and on and on, or are they being weakened from all of this as time goes on? So we have this card again, the identity crisis, but also is saying that no, they really can't, because that this indicates, with the reverse cup, it indicates abuse of substances and bad eating habits and all of this sort of thing, and taking a very childish view of taking care of themselves. So I'm going to say they're kind of on borrowed time. They're really on borrowed time with this. Every time they come back, they don't seem quite as invincible as they did before. So we're going to go to conscious thoughts. Conscious thoughts is justice. And what they're saying is that, and see, she's blind. Justice is blind. They're saying, we don't care. We're going to do whatever we want to do anyway. That's on the conscious thoughts. And on the unconscious or the subconscious level, we have the diminishing power, their diminishing power, that what with the magic that they've done in the past is starting to weaken. So to me, this skipping the justice could be bravado. They may not have the strength to do it. They sure are scaring the bejeebers out of everybody with that, but I have to say it's with the seeing the magician on reverse thinking they're beating it is like, yes, but for how much longer? How much longer? So what's going on with them right now? Right now, that Time magazine, oh my God, that's got a smart. That has really got a smart with Felonious 45. Really has to. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. This has been coming up a lot. And it has a meaning on the emotional level, is that they're kind of sticking together, but it's a real heartbreaker. It is a toughie. It's a very big heartbreaker. I also have to say that in talking about this and and all of this with the health, which is a big part of the Two of Cups, is that there could be some cardiovascular things coming up with one or both of them. May not happen at the same time, but I'm going to say that this strength and this play for power is not a real boon for heart health. So we've got that going on, and whoa, all these flames, and so it looks, I mean, it's very dramatic. It's serious. This is telling me right now these two guys are really, really not healthy, and that with the tension of, because I think deep down inside where they're feeling that they're losing, they're on the subconscious level, they know they're losing their powers. They're really, maybe is the fear is coming in that they are not invincible, and that there's a lot, they've made a lot of stress for themselves. So this could be a bond. I'm going to say this is an unspoken bond as well as this, because they'll tell each other they're just, going very strong and they're going to beat the courts and all of this. But I'm going to say they're not so sure. They're not so sure because they're getting out in the streets now. There's pressure building up. So it's not a real boon to their health right now. And then we have the Star in reverse. So they're in big competition for being the Star, but it's kind of like that's happening. They're diminishing right now. Both their star power is diminishing. I know that I did, in fact, I posted it on Facebook. He got tremendously booed at the Super Bowl. I don't even know if the Muskrat wants to make a big public appearance, because I think that he knows that he's got the same thing coming. So their star is not rising. And what this is saying, it's an awful thing, but they're trying to take the United States down with them. But with this weakness stuff, I'm kind of wondering. But I think they feel that they need each other to compete to have their star rise. Also tells me that intuitive instinct for business or whatever, which a lot of it was an illusion. I don't even think they can intuitively even keep that illusion anymore. Then we have the Empress in reverse, and this is going to be the Russia card. I wonder that this is telling me that they're not so hot anymore either. it's kind of like they're all feeding on each other's weaknesses to give themselves strength. And I don't know. It also tells me that while Russia is pleased that Harris is not president, at the same time, with all of this other stuff going on, you kind of wonder if Russia may be going elsewhere, like to China, to get some finance. So it's all of this, like they're all getting weaker. They're all getting weaker, and it's kind of like they're all sucking the juice out of each other, but thinking that alliance is making them stronger. This is really interesting. Okay, hopes and fears. Okay, so I think they're hoping that with a little bit of a timeout, they could come back fighting, but trying to develop a coup is a 24-hour job. I'm going to say that health-wise, that this little nap on top of the coffin could be a permanent thing. This is like I'm seeing them. They're all going to maybe to an early grave, and I think I'm beginning to think that this is what they fear. This is what Putin has been fearing, because he's been ill with cancer for the past few years, and it's about leaving some kind of a legacy after they're gone. But with all of this stuff going on, I don't know. I do not know. So in the near future, okay, we have the Three of Cups. I'm going to say that this is an interesting card. On the surface, they're trying to make us think that they're being very successful and that they're celebrating. But the thing is that in other decks, these ladies they're holding on to the cups, and they're entwined with each other, and they're giving a toast. In this one, they're kind of flying out of the cups. This looks a very chaotic and out of control thing emotionally. So there's a big emotional pull that is jealous, and they probably hate each other's guts, that they have to keep up that celebratory thing. But with those cups all over the place and that overflowing, it really it's chaotic and kind of crazy kind of a thing. So this is which is telling me that they may be going a little bit off their rockers, because in the rider deck, they're very grounded. I mean, they're celebrating and happy, but they're very grounded, and their arms are entwined, and they're holding their cups. And this one, they're flying all over the place, which pretty much tells me that they're, in a way, they're keeping together, but they can't really. But they're not really connecting. They're just kind of chaotically flying all over the place without really connecting. So this is not looking good. So, okay, so in the more distant future, we have a lot of worries, a lot of insomnia. I have a feeling that these people are, and people get mentally unbalanced. Sleep is one of the big first casualties, and they're really worried. I mean, this is a very intense card, because in the other deck they look like the blinds, but in this one, this person's thoughts are just about ready to, zero in on her. And I think it's almost like the walls closing in, the wall of knives closing in. I'm going to say as time goes on, these two are going to get very paranoid. I think it's beginning already. They're not going to trust each other. They're not going to trust anybody else. but that is a sick bond that keeps them together. And also swords are communication, so they're going to be worried about, well, is this one going to say something about what I unwisely told them about my past because I can't keep my damn mouth shut? So there's going to be worrying about what they may have on each other. That I don't think it was like, oh, I've got to tell you this in confidence. More like, it just slips out. Oh, yeah, and then the Russian hookers did this and that. And, that kind of stuff. Not like, oh, I have a big secret to tell you. No, it's just like they can't keep their mouths shut. They don't need drink or drugs to do that either. That's just that's just who they are. So I want to say this may be about a month out. So let's see as we get into April and May. The Six of Cups. So we have the Six of Cups. I think there may be some backing up a little bit and going to the past as things heat up. A little backing up. I do get a sense that there may be a little bit of a fear of, depriving people of the government funds that they have earned, and maybe going back to letting it flow. I also feel as though the courts may be really putting the pressure on in whatever way they can. So then they go back to, let's, release all of this and go back to a little bit of the way it was before. So there has been some backing out, and I think the two of these people have that in common. So as we look out further to maybe over the summer, let's see what's going on. Oh, the Ten of Pentacles in reverse. Someone had said, I can't remember, someone had said, maybe I was listening to Mel and Linda. I think Mel Doer said in a thing I saw earlier, or was it yesterday, that both of these guys, because of the crazy stuff we're going to do, and this is way in the future, they may be losing their fortunes, because at least FOTUS will be, because a lot of it is on a very flaky foundation. And I'm going to say that to me this looks like that crypto thing may be going south, and the Muskrat may have put a little bit too much of his fortune in, but I'm going to say it's going to be a reversal of fortune, and possibly with the health at the Pentacles, and also really further deteriorating health as well. So I would say that as time goes on, and I don't know if it's the summer or going into the fall, this is really, really, really not looking good for them, which may mean that they'll be bound together, but it'll be very, very, very tense. So let's see what the conclusion of this lovely relationship is. Okay, Judgment. And I'm going to say that there's going to be further judgment. This card is interesting because you don't have people rising from the grave like you do in. And this is one of the cards of the year that I picked out. Let's see where. Okay. There is a little bit of a difference, because in this one, people are rising from the grave. It's kind of like a rebirth. In this one here, the Gabriel is tooting out his message, but it seems as though people are they're flying away from it. They're doing their own thing, and it doesn't seem as though they're really heeding it. It also, up in the clouds and all that sort of thing. I'm going to say that this could have something to do with some people going to the other side, passing away, that sort of thing. So there will be judgment, but this is telling me that they may not be, what they have in common is that they will be in denial and they will not be heeding the warning of the growing judgment that's going against them, because they're off in their own little worlds of fantasy. But and I don't want to say, if that means they're going to pass away, but I do get a sense that these figures could represent people who have gone to the other side, who were very much like them, didn't heed the warning, didn't have a clue, and here they are in an untimely fashion. And they may be trying to get through, but they aren't. But the judgment is going to be really harsh. And it's actually very much to their detriment that they don't listen to it. So I'm gonna flip a couple of clarifiers on this. Okay. Strength, the big strength that they once had, it is no longer. I'm going to say that it could be a lot of bluster that people are not paying any attention to because of all the threats that they've made. There has been a backing off. If they follow the pattern that they have with the tariff thing. Because one thing is that they do have in common is that they have to be loved, because they certainly did not get that from where they grew up. And then we have the King of Cups, the stable king, the calm person coming into this. I'm going to say that getting the message that there will be the calm king telling them that the writing is on the wall. And I always have to, and all of us, speaking of people on the other side, I do have to go back to the Barry Goldwater going to Nixon to tell him the writing's on the wall, you're going to be impeached. I'm not saying it's the same scenario. I'm going to say there's someone in his party that's of a little saner mind that actually he might admire and respect. Now, whether they listen or not, that I think that they could make things so bad that someone will do that. Barry Goldwater taking the hike up to the White House and telling someone that it's over. It's over. And apparently Nixon tried to do that. I had forgotten, but I heard a little earlier, something I listened to, maybe it was Adam Mockler, who's that young kid who said that Nixon tried to pull the same stuff with holding back on funds, and the Supreme Court shut him down. So I'm going into that Nixon Watergate parallel thing again, and not see if do I need another card here. Let's see. Okay. Been waiting for this one to come. Okay, you can't make this stuff up. I'm going to say there will be cooler heads that prevail, but if they don't listen, which they're not really big on, this really is disaster. This is disaster. So I'm going to say, don't see any dark secrets revealed that I didn't think I was going to, but I think this pretty much states the energy of what's going on, and what that kind of sick narcissistic stuff that does keep them together, and that's kind of what, in a sense, it makes them kindred spirits that hate each other's guts. That's what I see, and that this whole thing is that they may think that they have strength in their numbers, but what this says is in that it'll work for a while and it'll drive us crazy, but in the end, it ends in disaster. And it's interesting to see that you do have the two figures falling, and I'm going to say that with FOTUS age and both of their health, it doesn't look too likely that they're going to land on their feet. But what gets destroyed from the tower, there's a chance to build something new and something better. So, I will, if my skills are there, I will leave a link of that video from the two ladies in the description, because so in fact it's very entertaining to listen to them. But I just found it so interesting. I wanted to do a deeper dive, and this pretty much tells me that they're kind of feeding off each other, and the energy that they're sucking from each other is that whatever strength is showing now is like they're sucking the strength out of each other. And this is what that's what this Magician card is about. And then with all of the stress, that's just not so great for the heart. But I will say that there's a good chance that justice will prevail in the end. But you know, when judgment comes, and if I don't quite see them doing what Nixon did, but I'm going to say, if they don't listen to the calmer person that tells them this is what's happening, this is not working, then it's going to be disaster. And we may get some of the fallout, but those are the two guys in this card, and they will be impacted the most. So, on that cheery little note, I think I will say good night or goodbye for all, and I'll see you again soon. So, bye.